everyone. So I'm finally getting around to doing this video that I've been promising you that I'd make for a while now. I want to do a video where I show you what equipment that we use for vlogging. Several people have asked via email and other ways, and so here it is. I got everything set up. I'm filming on my iPhone. Got a GoPro here, and this is the camera that we use. And I'm going to go over the various things that I like about this camera, our experience, and journey into recording, and why I use the equipment that I've chosen. We've been vlogging now for about a year, and so we've gone through a couple of, well, it's been a year and a month now. We started January of 2017. So, iPhone. We started with the iPhone. I think it was an iPhone 7. This is an iPhone 10. Either phone, great phones for vlogging, and they're, you know, iPhones are, they're expensive. I like iPhone, but Android phones are great too. Some really good phones out there. But that was it. We started with an iPhone because that's what we had. You know, you use your phone for so many different things, and we wanted to start vlogging. We had the phones. It's good quality. It's good enough. If there's one thing that we've learned about YouTube, is quality is nowhere near as important as content, story, what the video is about. It seems to drive YouTube a lot more than quality. So don't get wrapped up around the axles about quality. That being said, quality can be important and a useful tool. So moved on from the iPhone to our next camera, which was the GoPro Hero 5. So I loved filming with the iPhone, and like I said, does good quality, and it's convenient. It's always on you, ready to grab the shot when the shot happens. And so we still use it for that reason, because we always have it on us. But we stopped using it because of durability reasons. Phones are very hard to keep in an unbroken state in our experience, especially I think in particular on a homestead, when you're dealing with animals, heavy equipment at times, mud, dirt, grime, poop, and situations that can be precarious depending on the level of homesteading you're doing, I suppose. So there was a big concern about breaking our phones, and they're costly to replace, they're easy to break, and so I moved on to this GoPro. This is a GoPro Hero 5, and we vlogged for the longest time, well, for half of our vlogging year with a GoPro and this Joby Gorilla tripod, which we absolutely love and still use with the main camera that you're watching this on now. I loved the GoPro because it's durable, it's fairly weather resistant. You know, I can be out in the rain and not really have to worry about ruining this just as is. And there are waterproof cases so you can go underwater and stuff if you want to. You know, it's an action camera. And it's got voice control, start and stop, which is great. And it's got a protective lens cover you can replace. It's awesome. Small, compact. Absolutely love this thing and have gotten a lot of use out of it. But it's got its drawbacks too, which we quickly realized, but due to budget constraints, had to keep plunging along. One of the things that we ran into is the audio quality. Now, as you saw in the beginning, I've got this Rode a Rode mic. I'll leave links in the description for all of this equipment where you can find it on Amazon or wherever. We started using that with the GoPro, that Rode video mic. And now, the audio quality for the GoPros for vlogging just sucks. It really does. You just are never gonna get good quality sound. And I would say, in my opinion, good sound is pretty high priority when it comes to vlogging. You want to be able to hear the subject. You want to be, as you're watching, you want to be able to hear what's going on with clarity, and so that was a big issue for me. It took me no time at all to realize this just was not going to be good enough. So, problem number one, the audio. Problem number two, getting better audio on the GoPro. So this Rode video mic, I have a spare that has been through the ringer. This is the first one we used, and the mount on it broke, and I've jerry-rigged it and whatever. But it's got this kind of audio jack on it, cable, plug, whatever you want to call it, headphone thing. And the GoPro Hero 5 does not have a jack for it that's compatible. So GoPro, you know, the Hero 4 and the previous generations did, in their infinite wisdom, didn't think it was necessary. So this is their stupid solution. I can't stand this, and it pained me so much to buy this. It was 50 bucks. This is an adapter that goes from USB-C to the headphone jack that I can plug a microphone in like that, and then it's got the USB-C out so I can charge it and everything. And you've got to plug it in the side like this. So I've got this really cool, compact, durable thing with this big, giant, ugly, heavy adapter just to go to a mic. And it's absolutely ridiculous, but I made it work. I had two concerns with it. So you have to take this little protective door off, which now this is no longer weather resistant because the ports are exposed. And then you put it in its little housing here that it comes with in order for you to mount it to everything, which is another pro about the GoPros. There's a mount for every situation, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, this little thing I've got a mount for the tripods, and I clip it onto that. I've got mounts that I threw on the four-wheeler. I did a video where I mounted the GoPro to my four-wheeler and drove out to some pasture out back and got some beautiful scenery and put it to some music. I'll link that. I'll throw that video on the end screen. I forget what it's called. Anyway, I'll find it and throw it out there. So, but now I can plug this in the side, and again, ports are exposed. It sucks. Another thing, this did not have, I've added this cold shoe mount up here so that I could then use this mount that came with the camera and slide it on there. Now, prior to the housing for this mic, it worked great, but this broke, and so the mic kind of hangs and gets in the frame of the camera. So that kind of sucked, but I zip tied it so it was up like that. Anyway, but you still got this monstrosity, and then this puts a lot of torque on that port, and I can't stand how fragile USB ports are. This is USB-C, and it's no better, barely better than the micro USB prior to it. I love what Apple's done with their lightning connector. It's very solid. But anyway, so what I ended up doing to deal with the openness of this is I filled it with hot glue. That gave some stability to this plug, and for a long time, this is what we were vlogging with. Basically this setup right here. And it worked great for the most part. Problem number 2, 3, 4, whatever I'm into now on this GoPro is it's just not reliable. Sometimes you hit the record button, it gives you the red light that it's recording, but nothing gets recorded. Sometimes you hit record and you get no audio, just no audio at all recorded. We did a video that we had, it was awesome. We went to this this goat farm where they were raising goats. Actually, it was a dairy, goat dairy. What was it? Jensen Milk and Honey. And they produced raw milk, goat milk, and cow milk. And we went and toured their farm and had a lot of fun doing it. Got some great footage. We went there to try out some raw goat's milk to see if we would like it. I think the video's called goat milk, the best goat milk taste test or something. I'll throw that on the end screen. Fun video, but got back. All the video footage was real, no audio. For whatever reason that day, the connector wasn't loose, but for whatever reason, sometimes when it starts, it doesn't record with an external mic like this. If you don't use the external mic like this, I never had a problem. So we had to go back, and it was awkward because we'd kind of already had the tour, and it wasn't as good as it could have been. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm like, if we're trying to make this work, we can't deal with this. This is not worth our time. So that's when I said we've got to invest in something bigger. And that's when we went to this camera you're seeing this image on now. What I ended up going with was a Sony a6300. And I spent a lot of time deciding what camera to get. Didn't want to spend more than $1,000, which was a lot. But I realized to get the capabilities that I wanted, if I'm going to invest in this long term, I think at that time we were starting to see some money flow in from YouTube here or there, but not much. And we hadn't paid ourselves back for the GoPro quite yet, which is $400. But things were starting to pick up for us. So I thought, all right, let's do this. And we decided by that time we knew that we wanted to keep doing YouTube. So everybody and their dog, it seems like, vlogs with a Canon. Not everybody, but a lot of people vlog with these Canon DSLRs, Canon 70D, 80D, and the G7X Mark II or whatever that is, and good cameras. Nothing about those that's not good quality cameras. They'll do the job and people love them. But a few things that they didn't do that I wanted. I wanted 4K, which we'll get to that in a minute. To be able to film 4K resolution. I wanted something not quite so heavy, bulky as a DSLR. And they're bulky and heavy. And you can get used to that. People obviously do. But I didn't want to. And I'm kind of one of those guys that goes against the grain when everybody's doing it. It's like, I want to be different. I want to do different. It's not a huge thing. I mean, obviously I've got an iPhone, but if I can get what I want and I'm not doing the mainstream, but I still feel like I'm getting quality, I'd prefer to go down that route. Anyway, this camera, for the price range, had the features I wanted. It had the ability to do optical image stabilization with the lenses, interchangeable lenses, just like a DSLR has, so that you can get the different effects when you're filming that I'm really interested in learning and being able to utilize more. So I was thinking ahead on that because I don't really know what I'm doing when I'm filming. I'm starting to pick things up and I'm studying when I can, and I wanted the depth of field that a camera like a DSLR can give you. Now that's another thing about the GoPro, is the image is it's just not as cinematic looking, and you miss a lot of that depth of field and the dynamic range that a quality DSLR can give you. So this Sony, all the footage in the beginning of this video I filmed with the Sony outside. I used this lens. We picked up 2 lenses when we bought it. I think out the door we spent about $1,200. And the camera's gone down in price now. I believe they're on sale. I know there's a new series of cameras that Sony's getting ready to release. But one up to 4K, it'll do 1080p 120 frames per second, which I wanted. The GoPro can do that. And when I found out what I can do when I record at that high frame rate, it allows you to get some really smooth, slick, slow motion stuff versus recording in a typical 30 frames per second and slowing that down. It's just not as smooth. I've got this a zoom lens. This is a 55mm to 220mm, and I really like it because it allows me to get some close-up shots of the animals when I'm at a distance, which helps them be more candid and more less nervous. When you tend to get close to the animals, they react, and I like to get those candid shots of the animals and stuff. So really love this lens and want to get some other ones. So the lens that we typically use is a 16 to 50mm lens. Both of them have optical stabilization, image stabilization, which is good. So for the jitters, it helps. And it's got all of the features of a DSLR, but it's what this camera is, and this is what I really liked about it. It's a mirrorless camera. And I'll throw some shots up, close-ups, in slow motion. You can see it's a lot more compact, and you don't lose the quality of a DSLR. And I could go into the details of, well, so a DSLR has a lens that drops down and reflects through the lens up to the eyepiece that you can look through, and you can see what you're going to record. With this one, you don't have that. You get it's got a screen on the back that shows you what you're recording, and it's pretty good quality, but it's not the same as seeing exactly through the lens what you're going to get. So there's a drawback there, but for recording video, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. I really like the mirrorless, and I'll probably stick with that. I highly recommend it. It's a great camera. I can put it's got a jack for an external mic on it. It uses the SD cards. It's got, you know, all the features that you would like to see in a DSLR, so you can get some creative shots and up the cinematic quality of your videos. Something that I'm trying to learn and get better at as we vlog. And I know that I've got a lot of room to improve. So, but I'm having fun with it. All the stuff that I did this morning outside, I did on the tripod. We recently, you know, so I told you we used the Joby for a while, but we recently picked up a tripod because sometimes you want those shots, as much as image stabilization helps, it doesn't get rid of all the jitters, and just having a nice steady shot really makes it nice and easy to watch something or someone, depending on what you're filming. So we got a tripod, and a lot of those shots that you see from outside with the animals are on that tripod. Now, we still use the GoPro. I don't use the mic on it. I don't really use it for audio that much. We will let the kids vlog with it, just so we protect the expensive stuff. But what I typically use it for and love it for is time lapses. The end of this video, you'll see a time lapse that I did tonight with the GoPro. It's really quick and easy. Just a couple clicks and you're, even if you wanted to, you could set up for a 1 click, it'll power on and start doing a time lapse for you. It's really cool. I like that, and I like that it can do 4K, 1080p, and a couple other things, and it's got a really wide angle of view. Get some gorgeous shots with it. So that leads me into the 4K discussion. Now, most of our videos I upload in 1080p and not 4K. When I was getting started, I thought 4K, I really had to do 4K. It was, at the time, you know, the new resolution high res and the new thing, and then I quickly realized how much space a 4K video, even a 1080p video, will eat up in a heartbeat. And hard drive space, it's not cheap. So what I found out through watching some professionals that vlog, that are photographers, talk about filming in 4K, and then in your editing process you export it as a 1080p video, and they're finding that the quality of that 1080p surpasses what you would normally see if you recorded it in 1080p. So I typically like to do that. Now I can't do the 128 frame or 120 frames per second video in 4K. I can only do 30 frames per second. But so if I know that there's a shot that I think that I'll want to slow down for effect, I'll switch down to 1080 and record it in 120 and whatnot. So use the GoPro for the time lapses. For the third person shot or alternate angle shot, kind of use that as a tool for that. And I love the mounting options. I've got a few little tripods for the GoPro, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's the gist of the equipment that we use. Highly recommend any of it. Like I said, for the purposes that I found them useful, for the type of vlogging and filming that we do. Trying to think, I don't think, oh, and then this little guy right here, we picked this up on probably Amazon. External hard drive, couple terabytes in size. This is what I make a backup copy. I have a 2 terabyte drive in the computer. Everything's on that, and then I also store a backup copy on that. If you're going to vlog, you don't want to have a hard drive crash and you lose all your footage, all that hard work down the drain. Highly recommend getting an storage solution that isn't always on. This isn't on unless I plug it in, so it's gonna last longer. And I don't remember how much we paid for this. Anyway, storage is a premium when it comes to filming and saving all your material so you can use it later or whatever. It's hard to know what to delete. We edit on Adobe Premiere. Yeah, you gotta pay a subscription now to use it. I don't remember what it is, but is it the best option for vlogging? I don't know. There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. It's overwhelming to me the options that it gives, but it's what I started using. I got familiar with it. I can get by with it. I know that a lot of vloggers use a product called Filmora, and from what I've seen, it's a little bit more geared toward the vlogger. Maybe, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it seemed like it's easier to use. For me, I don't want to take the time to learn something else. What I'm doing works, I'm familiar with it, I can move around in it pretty quickly, and I like it, and I like the ability the possibilities. The more time I put into learning it, the more creative I can get with it. Not saying that the other ones won't do that. I don't really know, but I know what Adobe Premiere can do, and I know it's a powerful program. So anyway, that's the gist of the equipment that we use. Hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful. If you've got different opinions or suggestions on other equipment, different camera types from what you've liked, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear those perspectives and opinions, and anybody else that finds this video, they can look down there for that resource of knowledge. And thanks for joining me today, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.